This is astrologer and paranormal investigator Dikki-Jo Mullen coming to you with a special presentation about Astro Meteorology, the astrology of weather. At the present time, in downtown Orlando, Florida, there's a real flurry and scurry of activity going on. A hurricane is being watched in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's starting to curve this way. We're not quite sure whether it will come through central Florida or go a little bit west. Ideally, it would be further out in the Atlantic to become a fish storm, leaving all of us on land alone, but that doesn't look like it will happen this time. The uncertainty can make or break someone's life, and a little bit of look at some of the astrological trends in order to plan ahead for unusual weather during these times of climate change or whatever is causing the flurry of storms can do a great deal to be of help. Astro Meteorology, the astrology of weather, is often covered in the various almanacs, including the Witch's Almanac, which I contribute to. It is a topic that has been of great interest since earliest times. And taking a look at some of the basic patterns, weather changes occur on the day of a new moon. And so if there's a suspect situation going on with weather, just in general, look at a normal calendar. You don't even need any fancy calculations or tables because the new and full moons are usually noted on each calendar. And on the day of the new moon, the weather that day or changes that seem to be in the offing and developmental phase can give us an idea of what's to happen. If there's a threatening weather situation, the full moon can bring it to a peak. And whether weather is going to dissipate or if it's going to become a very violent storm, the full moon can bring a turning point. Looking a little further ahead, Uranus is the planet that will represent violent winds and hurricanes. Floods tend to deal with Neptune, Pluto, and the water signs of the zodiac, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. Fire or drought would be Mars and the sign of Aries, and also the other fire signs. The fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The water signs are Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. Often historic signs will be very revealing. When I'm traveling, I very much enjoy stopping and looking at the historic markers. And while I was traveling recently on vacation in the Thumb area of Michigan, I came upon a very interesting sign that described a storm in 1913. This is what the historic marker looked like. It was on the shores of Lake Huron and on the Thumb of Michigan. And it's absolutely fascinating in that it described how in a single night the lives and people changed over a century ago, and that storm was so memorable even at that time. Specifically, the storm plaque reads, "Sudden tragedy struck the Great Lakes on November the 9th, 1913, when a storm whose equal veteran sailors could not recall left in its wake death and destruction. The grim toll was 235 seamen drowned, 10 ships sunk, and more than 20 others driven ashore. Here on Lake Huron, 178 crewmen on 8 ships were claimed by the waters and lost. For 16 terrible hours, gales of cyclonic fury made people and the machines helpless before them." That's a dramatically worded and kind of interesting historic plaque, isn't it? And it just seemed to be very, very revealing and intriguing. And so I had to set up the horoscope to see what it would look like. I used 6:30 a.m. It was Central Standard Time at the time, because often right at sunrise, because of the change in temperature, or sunset, there'll be a change in weather patterns also. And this raged for 16 hours. So that seemed to make sunrise the most logical time. But this is the overall star pattern for the day. There was a grand trine in water with the sun in Scorpio, and the moon was in Pisces, the sign of the fish. And then Mars and Neptune. Mars is violent energy, Neptune floods, were conjoining, there they are, and creating this grand trine, which is too much of something when there's all three of the water signs in an overall negative chart. The planet Saturn, which represents destruction, turmoil, was in Gemini, making a square by sign to Pisces placements. Also, there had been an eclipse pattern recently. The moon node shows the eclipse pattern for the year. And Mercury, which relates strongly to wind, is opposing, it was in Sagittarius, and opposing Saturn. So the real description of all the destruction is certainly described here. Good pattern to look at for further information about the weather for each season is an Ingress chart. The Ingress charts are the charts for the first moments of fall, winter, spring, and summer. By erecting a chart for the time and place where you happen to be, or the location you're interested in, it is very, very easy to see what's going to happen during the next several months until the new season begins. For example, a horoscope on September 22nd, the first day of fall, that can vary a day or so from time to time, but usually it's September 22nd, will describe weather until the winter solstice, which is usually December 21st, sometimes the 22nd of a given year. And the springtime begins on March 21st, about, or the 20th. And then the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, June 22nd, will describe the weather for that season. I hope this has been of some help and interest for you. And in looking at the new moons for seasonal shifts and for specific weather changes, if the new moon is in a water sign, and other astrological indicators show that, that would be the new moon, now not the full moon, but the new moon in Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. That's going to describe weather. If there's going to be a weather that would involve a flood, it all is about weather. The new moon in a fire sign in Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius can be an indicator of fire or drought or extreme heat. The air signs can relate to wind storms and also can have a bearing on very cold weather. The air signs are Aquarius and Libra and Gemini. And those element indicators are very helpful. The moon is new when it's in the same sign as the zodiac in force. Almost all of us know our birth signs, whether you're a Cancer or a Leo or Aquarian or whatever. And if you know that sign, the new moon that's in that same month would be descriptive. If it's in an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, that can represent earth changes, such as earthquakes or different avalanche patterns. So again, just a glimpse at the horoscope around you, being aware of what seems to be happening at the moment can help a lot in beginning to understand the really intriguing field of Astro Meteorology, the astrology of weather. This is Dikki-Jo Mullen in Orlando, Florida, astrologer and paranormal investigator. You can read more about the astrology of weather in the Witch's Almanac, which I provide the moon signs for and also predictions for each year. And the Witch's Almanac is available at fine bookstores or on the website. It has www.thewitchesalmanac.com or on Amazon.